It's not liquid football yet, is it?
Immediately, it was electrifying.
He's in the olden days.
Listen, he's the president of your fan club. He'll get your name right at some point.
There was only one man that was keeping Luton in it, and that was just Keeley.
If you have those three ingredients, fight, intensity and aggression, then you're going to get backed as in a Luton shirt. There's one for the ages. It was back to clean sheets for the win for the town on Tuesday night when they overcame Wigan Athletic 1-0 at Kenilworth Road. We are in our new studio to look back on a night that offered a bit more encouragement than games that have gone before, and alongside me to do that, I've got the Lutonian journalist, James Cunliffe. As always, Jimbo, you got to see your man, you got your 1-0, but you didn't go for your 1-0. Happy night all along.
Never mind about football results. What's this clean sheet for the win? He's nicking my material.
We're a team, mate. Our partnership is established.
I don't know about this.
We'll look back at the game and we'll look ahead to Saturday's fixture against Cardiff right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football League podcast category in the Football Content Awards. Now in our brand new studio in Marsh House, so thanks to Donna, Phil, Mason and Preacher for all their help in getting us here. The show, as always, is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned prior to the intro, Jimbo and myself are looking back at Luton 1, Wigan 0, and we're going to look ahead to Saturday's game at Cardiff. We're going to do it all in one podcast. We do apologise for not doing separate ones. We've been working so hard to get our new studio up and running so that we could be in here and not be on Zoom and things that we've just run out of time to get two separate ones out to you, I'm afraid. But we'll be back to normal ASAP, Jimbo. But thanks everyone for bearing with us, and we promise this will be the last combined one for a while.
For a while, yeah. It's been a disjointed August for myself, let alone the football club. But glad to be in here. I'm excited that we'll be able to tell people that we're in here. Marsh House, absolutely fantastic place, great people. New home for the studio. Hopefully, the same banter.
From me, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that. That's for sure. Tuesday night then, Jimbo, obviously we needed a response. I mean, that was, you have to respond to performances like that, regardless of the results of them. And we got it. We got it with the team sheet. There were no square pegs in round holes. Round pegs firmly went back into round holes. And do you know what? We looked a bit more fluent because of it.
Yeah, we did. I mean, the start was very good of the game, and obviously getting the goal helped. Savills' goal, lovely little move from Liam Walsh. Don't know why they gave him so much space, but I don't care. Whipped it in and Saville got it. At that point, you're thinking this is great because Wigan hadn't offered anything. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, they were just pulling chances out of the bag, even though they were operating on 29% possession for the first half. So it just shows you what can happen. And really, there was only one man that was keeping Luton in it, and that was just Keeley. What a performance. I mean, one of them he dropped and Aimson hit the post or the crossbar with, but everything else, there was no way past the fella, and it was a man of the match performance for me.
Yeah, I don't think that was the most difficult man of the match call in the whole of the world, was it? 3 changes to the starting lineup from the debacle at Bradford. No Mads Anderson, we're led to believe he had a tight hamstring. I was going to test my memory here, this one. No Lamine Fanner, who, he was on the bench.
Dropped to the bench.
Yeah, he was on the bench. And Shandon Baptiste was the other one who didn't start, of course. He also dropped to the bench. In came Cohen Bramall, which immediately balanced the side so much better. Liam Walsh, you've already mentioned the impact that he had on the game. And
Gideon Gadua,
of course, we're so used to him because he scored and played so long on Saturday. I forgot that he didn't start. It's been a bit of a week, this, hasn't it?
I should say Gideon Gadea.
Kadir, you should. Yeah, absolutely right. He'll get it right. Listen, he's the president of your fan club. He'll get your name right at some point. Do you know what I mean? It's because we're going to have to talk about a fair bit about him in this podcast as well. Yeah, I mean, it just looked more balanced, didn't it? It's not the formation I want us to play. It's not the areas of the pitch that I want certain players in. But yeah, we were able to go forward all the time, whereas on Saturday it's got to certain parts of the square pegs, and it had to go backwards because there was no forward option. You're right, we scored early. That was really, really important because you did kind of get the impression that if that was 0-0 after half an hour, it might be a long night. Very fitting that the goal came literally seconds after the applause for Adam Dilly stopped. It was almost like Adam was looking down and sort of overlooked that goal, really, wasn't it? Liam Walsh, brilliant, kept the ball in from an overhit corner first and foremost, and had no real right to do that. Crossed the ball back in with his weaker left peg, if indeed he has a weaker left peg, and then Saville just got to it on the volley. Happy days, and based on his shot later in the game, kind of fortunate that one found the bottom corner.
He just wanted it more, and that's that. At that point, you're thinking, well, they've heeded the advice of what happened on Saturday at Bradford, where that didn't seem to be the case, and he wanted it more. Got in front of his man and steered it in. It was the kind of goal that you like to see from wide play, isn't it? At that point, it looked really positive and good, and Liam Walsh was picking up the ball and playing useful passes around, and with the ball, it all looked good. But then Wigan just picked spaces and holes, and everything that they tried in terms of through balls or crosses went to one of their men and resulted in a shot on goal. And at that point, it was a bit concerning. But like I say, when you've got just Keeley in your team and he's pulling off saves, one of them for Paul Mullin, where he's put through, what an unbelievable through ball for starters, because Luton players were throwing their bodies at that to try and connect with the ball when he couldn't, and it curled into Mullin's path. And everything we've heard about him and his rise with Wrexham suggests he puts that away and it's a draw, and they draw level. But yeah, I said it on Twitter, I think at the time, in the olden days, that was a Peter Schmeichel-esque stop, wasn't it? Stood big, stood tall, and he blocked it. So he's got the lot. He can shot stop, he can block, his distribution's fantastic. I'd prefer him not to drop the ball at Will Ameson's foot, but that's what the frame of the goal's for, isn't it?
He knew what he was doing. Dropped it to the right person, didn't he? Yeah, I tell you when it was a goal, Jimbo. Last bloody season it was a goal, because there wouldn't have been no one on the edge of his box to block the shot. He'd have been on his goal line and Paul Mullin would have had another 10, 15 yards to run into. That's when it was a goal. On the edge of his box, he was actually outside his box, wasn't he, when he saved it? So it kind of had to hit his chest as well. If it hit his hand, it would have been good night Vienna, wouldn't it? But, brilliant save. Not the best save he made in the first half. Not even remotely close to the best save he made. In fact, there were a couple of saves that he made. There was one from a long distance shot that he parried out and managed to get hold of before anyone sort of came in. And then, of course, came your incident that he dropped the cross, and was it Amerson hit the bar? It was a right old melee of people.
Yeah, it was. Well, Amerson hit the woodwork twice, didn't he? Because he had that long range shot that fizzed in and hit the outside of the post, and that started off their period of everything they touched resulted in a chance and goal. So he hit it twice, and he was involved in a lot of goal malfaction as well. I know we'll get to it, but he's the one that cleared off the line late on, when Mark McGuinness did something that I never thought I'd see Mark McGuinness do. We'll talk about that later, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, the point-blank save that Keeley made from 3 yards out, if it was that. Absolutely no right to save that. Much like the one at Bradford on Saturday, he had absolutely no right to save that either, and he did. And you're right, Jimbo. We've got ourselves... I'm trying to think back to the last time we had a goalkeeper this good, and Mark Tiley would be the obvious choice, but then you kind of counter that with, well, Mark Tyler played most of his Luton career in the conference. Not that he was conference level, he was far too good for that level, as Keeley is for this level. I think you're going back to the Marlon Beresford days, so 20 years ago nearly, for the last time we had a keeper this complete and this good that Luton fans already are this comfortable with. You know, when a guy's through on goal now, you're not like, oh, bloody hell, that's that. You're now like, well, he might save this, and bodes well.
Yeah, you're right. He does inspire confidence, and you've got 3 clean sheets out of 4 with him. Well, he didn't really have to do anything in the first 2 of those clean sheets, but he had to work for his clean sheet this time. And I think that bodes well, because obviously when there is strength in the defence, but I think you made the point in the instant reaction, when Chris Makosso's not in it, then there's a bit more shakiness, and we saw that against Wigan, and obviously he's going to be back for the Cardiff game. Hopefully he comes straight in, because he the first 2 games spoke volumes, didn't he? And then he's out for Coventry and Bradford, and then, albeit the result against Wigan went our way, but there was some shaky signs. But to have that confidence behind that defence is going to be so important, and it wasn't there really certainly in the Championship last season. You know, we all revelled at Kaminsky's shot-stopping ability in the Premier League, and he was brought in specifically for that job, but there were so many positions and so many players and so many errors that went on in the Championship season last season, and he was one of them. So to fill that position with Keeley, firstly to get him, and for him to have that sort of impact already, we might not see him a lot, to be honest. We might have to get used to him this season, because there'll be bigger clubs who want him after his performance from Leyton Orient, and if he carries on doing this for Luton. So enjoy him while he lasts, maybe.
Yeah, we have to go up to keep him. I mean, it's that simple, isn't it? You know, I don't even know what he's doing in League One still anyway, but mighty glad that he is. Do you know what? That's why I'm not even bothered that he dropped that cross, because I'd much rather him come for a cross and drop the occasional one. He's not going to drop every one, is he? But drop the occasional one than his predecessor, who stands there and watches the ball get headed past him. So I'm fine with it. I think I mentioned it in a podcast that we did previously, that he is going to make the odd mistake because he lives on that high level of risk factor that, again, I'm absolutely fine with. He's not going to make, he's going to make one mistake in 100 or whatever, but, that's absolutely fine. It's much better than the alternative. And it's not just me who thinks it, is it? Quite clearly our defence think that. Defence is fine. Yes, they were opened up a little bit too easily as that first half went on, but it was mostly through balls that killed us. We wasn't passed around. The only time they kind of passed around us was that counter-attack from the corner, which Cohen Bramwell tried to hold Paul Mullin up. Finally, Mullin got away from him, but your man, Kadir, just slide tackled in on him and put the ball out for a corner. And I like what I'm seeing from him, Jimbo. I know I'm talking to the preacher of the fan club, but I do like what I see from him. I liked what I saw from him at Coventry. I liked what I saw from him at Bradford, minus the goal. I just liked the impetus that he gave us down that side. And then I liked what I saw from him on Tuesday night. And I'd absolutely love what I'd see from him if you stick a fullback behind him so that he can play right wing, because this team is crying out for that. It's crying out for a right back with him in front. It's crying out for a left back with Millie Ali in front, and then we'll do some damage.
Yeah, I mean, he looks very promising, doesn't he? The fact that he's not had any pre-season action for West Ham, and that was partly because they were trying to get the deal done as well. But I don't know, I still don't know why he probably didn't play some more. But you can see that if that's a player who's not up to speed yet, he is going to cause a lot of damage, because I know I remarked about it in the commentary one, just the directness, the no fear of his age. He knows he's got the beating of most players, and it's... He's a winger that will go on the outside as well. That is kind of rare these days when you play like these inverted wingers, or the players that play with the wrong foot on the wrong side and they like to cut back in. He's going to get to the byline, and that is exactly what I want my wide players to be doing, and it will frighten the life out of a lot of people. He came off, he went down, didn't he? I think I'm led to believe that that's cramp. I asked Bloomford after, so hopefully he's okay. We may just have to get used to, for a while, as needs must. Him and Bramall just playing 60 minutes and maybe adding 5 on each time to get them up to speed because they haven't had that time in pre-season. But what you're seeing with those two there, and you saw it when they played previously, is that the balance is a lot better because they're trying to play this system of wing backs without having it until those players rocked up and offered glimpses of what we can expect. It's still that work in progress, but yeah, it's a really exciting one.
It is, yeah. I would love Bramall behind Ali down that left-hand side and whoever behind Kadua down the right-hand side, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, however you want to set it up. I just think this team's crying out for it. Those two, Ali and Kadua, could do some serious damage in this league. It's still not clicking up front, is it? Still no strikers scored a goal this season. To be fair, we'll come on to Lasse in a moment. But the one real chance that we had in that half after we scored was the mazy run that Jordan Clark went on, and then he prodded a sort of shot towards goal, which Mr. Tickle and goal. There's one. There's one for the there's one for the ages. Mr. Tickle. I think Simon said on commentary, Mr. Tickle got a big hand to something or other. So
That's good.
chapeau,
That's good
chapeau.
business. Well done.
Got a foot to Jordan Clark's shot, didn't he? That'd have been a lovely goal, actually. And to be fair to Clark, I thought he was really, really bright last night without massively standing out like he sometimes can. I thought he picked up some really good positions and he tried to link things, but you can tell that Jerry Yates arrived on the first day of the season rather than the first day of pre-season because they're not yet finding where he wants to go or how he wants to go and things like that. And he's looking a little bit lost would probably be a harsh word, but not quite with the rest of them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he is, and I kind of expect that because of the lack of time he's had to play with those players. They've got to learn the runs he likes to make. They've got to learn the positions that Clark and maybe the likes of Walsh will pick up and play balls to him. So that's kind of understandable. He was trying to put himself about a bit, but there wasn't that focal point almost for the attack in the first half, and whereas it was for Wigan, because if it wasn't Mullen, it was the number 10 or the number 14 who were making inroads into those positions and picking up the spaces. So it will come because we've seen what Jerry Yates is about at other teams, but it is that aspect of, well, he's the main guy who's going to lead the line. He's not yet scored, and when's that going to come? You get the feeling that when he does score, it'll click as it did for Adebayo when he was in that position, and so it's kind of, I don't even know if frustrating is the word. It's just kind of like a bit not fully formed yet. But I think you can see that the signs are there, and certainly more so in the second half when he had somebody alongside him. It just looked so much more fluid.
It did, yeah. I mean, we got to half time and you're like, how did they not score? And then in the second half, you're kind of thinking, well, how have we not scored again? About 15 minutes into the second half, wasn't it, when Bramall had done the amount of time that he could do. How many times have we said on this podcast, do it that way round rather than bring them on afterwards? Absolutely fine with him going off after an hour. He's given us everything he can get. We've got in front. We can manage the game from there rather than the other way round like on Saturday where we're chasing the game and we could have done with him to start the game. Then Millie Ali went out to left wing back and the game changed. The game changed. He changed. He doesn't, I'm sure he can play central, but he doesn't seem to have the same impact on the game. It's too congested. We can't get, I mean, what do you want Millie Ali? You want Millie Ali running. You can't get him running in that central position, not behind a striker anyway. Maybe if he's right up at the other side of Yates, for Yates to flick on, for him to go through, that might be different. But how many teams are we going to play that allow that space in behind? But as soon as he went out wide, he was a different player. Literally the very first action after Bramall went off, he cut inside, he went past two players and he hit a thunderbolt of a shot that would have gone in, but again, tested the palms of Mr. Tickle. If you're being really picky, you'd kind of say, could he have curled it and kind of got it around him like some do? But hey, that is really splitting hairs. Immediately, it was electrifying.
He was. That's what we want to see him doing, running at players, because they'll they get the frighteners on them. But what I saw too much of in the first half was he was trying to play a striker role of holding the ball up and playing it off to people. Well, that's, he could do that, I suppose, but it's not really his game. And we saw that when Nordos came on, he did that better. And then out wide, when he's got some space to run into and players to run at and room to cut across, say, the 18-yard line, which he tends to like to do on that side on his stronger foot, then that's the alley we want to see. That was probably his best performance, or his best part of a game, because he didn't do that in the first half because of the way that he was being asked to play. That's what we want to see. That's what he did at the end of last season. That's why he scored those goals that gave us a chance. And that's what I want to see more of.
And when he does that cutting inside, if we ever play the formation that I'm saying with Bramall in behind him, there'll be so much room for Bramall to overlap that he's going to get even more space to come inside, because the right back would ordinarily drift in and try and tackle him, but he can't if Bramall's overlapping, because someone's got to go with him as well. It will just open up so much more space for Millie to do that thing. The team's crying out for that now. And, have we got an ideal right back to play it? Maybe not. They're in the building, they're just injured. But until one of them's back, just stick someone like Nigel Longwake there. He's shown that he can play wing back, albeit he looks a bit rusty on the left-hand side. But on the right-hand side, nothing wrong with him. Stick him there, stick Kadua in front of him, and go the other side. It doesn't really matter who you pick as the two centre-halves, really. I mean, obviously Makosso will be one, and then it's who you pick alongside him, and that's, that is literally take your pick. Doesn't really matter who you pick as your two pivots. Obviously Saville will be one because he's set piece taker and everything else. But again, who's alongside him probably depends on the opposition. If you're going to thread passes, you'll want Liam Walsh there. If you're going to have a more physical battle, you'd want Shandon Baptiste there. Or if you want a bit more of an attacking option, you'll have Lamine Fanner there who can run beyond, things like that. But it gives you so much more flexibility. But what it does do is it gets so many more players of an attacking nature into the areas where they want to be attacking, because that's why it's breaking down, Jimbo. We get into the final third and Matt keeps on talking about overloads. Well, Bramall and Ali would overload one side and all of this. And he keeps on talking about putting the ball at risk. And that's what we're not doing, because there's no one to put the ball at risk out there. Because, for an hour, Millie Ali was shackled in the centre. Kadu was having to do some defending as well. So he's a lot of the time in our own half. You can't put the ball at risk from there. Well, you don't want to put the ball at risk from there, because if you're caught out, you're knackered. I think we have now got in, and Matt's been speaking in recent press conferences and in post-match interviews, that we're looking to tinker with the formation to get more of an attacking output. I think it's there for all to see now that four at the back, now that Bramall is 70 minutes-ish now. That's not to say that we don't go to a back three when he brings a defensive substitution on, like he has been doing to shore the game up if we're winning. That's absolutely fine. But I think now we're at that stage where we've got Kadir, who's ready. We know Millie Ali's ready. And actually, I think by having them two out wide, Yates will have an awful lot more freedom to go where he wants to go. And I just think it'll click so much better. And there was evidence of it, obviously, at Peterborough when we went to a back four. Evidence again once Millie Ali went wide last night. And it wasn't just Millie Ali's shot, was it? Like you say, Lassie Nordos came on, had a shot inside of the post, so unlucky. Kadir was causing havoc to the point where he cramped. His calves, by the way, fair play to my sister for noticing this. I mean, I've seen smaller tree trunks than them things. They are massive. I can see why they cramped. But you kind of felt Luton are going to score now. Yeah. And you'd not felt that this season.
Yeah, it definitely had that feel about it. Almost instantly from that moment that Millie had the first run and shot, it opened up more possibilities. There was more space for him to do that on the flanks, and then suddenly more space in the middle as well, because we saw Nordas. I mean, I commented it at the time, and it's been clipped up by the club as well since the little Cruyff turn on the halfway line and bursting into the box. And
he was gagging for gas and air at the end of that run, wasn't he?
The anticipation from the crowd of that, because we saw how positive that was, and I think he is. I think you said previously, that maybe he's a bit Marmite at the moment, and there are some people that don't, critical of him. There are other people that I've seen have been saying no, he needs to go, and or he needs to start, and you need to give him a chance. And after his performance yesterday, after his cameo, which I thought was his best in a Luton shirt by a country mile, I'm more of the I'm going to give this guy a go camp, and I am, and I think that what he did for the team wise to give that partnership up top with Jerry Yates, but some of his link up play was pretty good. 3 inches the other way, and he smacked a great left foot opener to open his Luton account, and there were lots of good signs there, and it happened from him coming on, but also the switch that saw Millie go out to the left, and there's a blueprint there, isn't it, that you can work with, and that's good. And ultimately, people can say, still didn't. We weren't that convincing. I think you could say that in the first half. The last half an hour, I don't think that you can say that at all. But if you combine that with the fact that, listen, if we're not convincing and we've won 3 out of 4 games, that'll do me. You ain't going to get any more extra points for playing good. We all want to see it, but you can see the signs of where it can improve.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we were convincing in the second half. There were still a couple of times where a player wanted a player to make a run and he didn't, or a player thought the player was going to make the run and he made the pass and the player didn't make the run. There's still a I hate the word, but I can't think of another word. I've used it a few times. Clunkiness to our attack. It's not what I mean, but there's a listen, you're the wordsmith, whatever the word is. But there are signs now that it is getting into action. Yes, there's still an awful lot of work to do, and there's still an awful lot of finishing product to come from it. But also, you have to think, a lot of travelling in the last week. We were entitled to tire. There hasn't been much time on the training ground, and these are all legitimate excuses. And I don't like making excuses because, they're well paid and they should be able to handle this sort of thing. But they are legitimate excuses. But all I ask is that we're better than the game before, particularly when the game before was as dreadful as the game before was. And we were. Now, obviously, on Saturday, can we be better again, particularly in attacking areas? We've got Chris back, and we'll come on to all of that when we do the Cardiff preview. But I'm not yet Nordos to start. I'm not. I think actually he'll be more of a threat off the bench against tiring defenders that Millie Ali and Yates and whoever, well, hopefully Nikki Wells is back on Saturday as well. We're recording this before Matt's press conference, so we're just going by what he said, that they were hopeful that he'd be back by Saturday, and he pretty much gave the game away that he wasn't going to play last Saturday. I'm not yet Nordos to start, but I'm definitely starting him against Barnet in the trophy, which is only 2 league games from now. Hopefully he can get a goal in that, and then I think we'll see a striker start to flourish, a bit more confidence. Once he gets a goal, particularly at home, he'll probably feel like he belongs a little bit more. At the minute now, he probably feels like a bit of and this is a strong word, and it's not a word that I mean, but it's the only one that comes into my head at the minute. He probably feels a bit of a fraud for the transfer fee to the output that he's given, and I don't mean it like that, but he just needs that goal to prove to himself that he belongs.
Yeah, he's a striker, isn't he? He wants goals to do that. I think that people, the comments I've seen, people say he doesn't look like he's at the level. I think that's just maybe his size and his unusual gait and the way he runs and stuff. But there's plenty of other players of his stature, size-wise, that you could point to, albeit different divisions. And Peter Crouch initially comes to mind, that he didn't look. People always said that about Peter Crouch. Didn't look like a footballer, but he went and played in World Cups for England, and and he started off his Liverpool career, for instance. I think we didn't score for 10 or more games, and there was talk of him being a flop. And then once he did, the floodgates opened, and he became sort of a cult favourite. I think that is where he could be, cult favourite stakes. I mean, when I heard the noise from when he made that Cruyff turn and ran on goal, and how much people wanted him to score, that's where he could be. And I take anybody's point whatsoever that he's probably not there yet. That's fine. being built up to operate in English football, in the third division, where it's pretty, it's tough and physical, as we have seen. I've got no problems with any of that. And with you, I wouldn't start him just yet, particularly if Nicky Wells is there, because the partnership that him and Yates had in the small amount of time that they were there looked good to me, and that Yates would be the target man where Nicky Wells would come short or play off any balls that Yates could play. And I'm comfortable with that. But as an impact player, I think he comes on. And what he did in the impact he did have against Wigan was change the tide of where Wigan were just opening Luton up, and they didn't have that anymore. They had a lot more to think about. And I think from that perspective, he was useful.
Agreed, yeah. I mean, the only thing we didn't do was get the second goal and kill the game off. And, I mean, Nordos must be cursing his luck, mustn't he? He's hit the inside of the post. He's got an absolute nailed-on goal, and all of a sudden a defender appears from nowhere to head it over his own crossbar. Yeah, there are some that say he should be more aggressive in attacking. Well, if he's any more aggressive, the referee would have just given a foul anyway, so couldn't really done an awful lot more, could he? He's just unlucky that the defender it's just a brilliant piece of defending, to be fair to him.
Brilliant piece of defending, and also a brilliant cross from Mark McGuinness. I've called it a scorpion kick. I don't know how he's managed to do that, because I don't think he's got that in his locker, but clearly he has.
It would have been the best assist of all time.
Yeah.
Had it have gone in, wouldn't it? I can't remember. We had another funky assist, didn't we, for Berry's goal, or was it Berry to Clark last season before last rather? Was it against Bournemouth, put him clean free, whatever it was anyway. It was a tackled assist, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And this one was, very much like you said, a scorpion. It's just that cross is over here, I'll just do what I can to try and sort of recycle it. And not only did he recycle it, he put it right in the mixer, and good defending from the defender. We nearly paid the price. I thought we had paid the price. This goalie goes up. I always get nightmares about goalkeepers going up after Christian Walton appeared on my stream at the Blackburn Great Escape game. He goes up. You knew full well, just geezer in a fluorescent yellow shirt called Mr. Tickle. The ball was going to make his way to him, wasn't it? And it did. And thankfully he prodded it, literally the last kick of the game. Thankfully he prodded it a yard wide. If that had fallen to a striker, we were in deep doo-doos. I'm not saying Keeley wouldn't have saved it, but he was definitely going to have had a save to make.
Just as well he was a goalie, wasn't he? And that was his best effort at a shot. It was slightly heart in mouth stuff, because I think on the balance of the second half performance, that would have been unjust. They should have scored 1, 2, 3. They could have got 4 in the first half. I'll take that from anyone that wants to level that at the game. Second half, they didn't have a sniff. In fact, I think the substitute they made, the player that came off had a booking, didn't he? The substitute they made, he looked pacey, but he offered nothing else, and it sort of depleted what they were trying to do. Combined with Luton's changes of Nordos coming in and Millie going on the left, so Luton really negated anything that they had going forward, and then obviously they created those chances, and that's where we want to see the improvements, because 2 or 3 nil at that point, taking away Wigan's chances, but that would have felt more comfortable and realistic as well, because Luton did create those opportunities. You're right that it wasn't. You said clunky, didn't you? I'd reach for my Alan Partridge-isms and say it's not liquid football yet, is it? So we'll go with that. But you can only win a game, can't you? And they've done that. They've bounced back from defeat. They've won a game. They've kept a clean sheet. They played pretty well in the second half. It's just about building on top of that now.
They fought, which they didn't do on Saturday. There was an intensity and aggression to our play, which there wasn't there on Saturday. And whatever the result is, if you have those 3 ingredients, fight, not Chris Macosso's fight, but, fight, intensity and aggression, then you're going to get backed as in a Luton shirt. Whatever happens, if we're beaten by a better team, quality-wise, and let's be honest, there's half a chance that could happen on Saturday. Cardiff second in the table. We'll come on to that in a minute, but I don't think it will. But, they're second in the table for a reason. If you're beaten in that fashion, okay, we'll take that. But when you're beaten with no fight, no intensity, no aggression, we can't be having any of that, because we've had 18 months of that. We don't need no more of that. So that's where we were at last night, and I was really pleased. I was really pleased we came out of the blocks. We put some tackles in. I wouldn't say it got the crowd going. The goal did, of course. The minute's applause did, which was absolutely fantastic. Thank you to everyone who partook in that, because that was, that Adam's brave fight deserved that sort of applause. That all kind of helped, but even when we were sort of on the ropes a little bit, there was no one there were no boos, there were no, I mean, obviously there were sort of screams and things because they were clean through on goal and, that sort of stuff, but there was none of that. We clearly recognised that we got a hero in goal, and yeah, and that was positive. If you put in that performance, forget the quality on show. If you put that baseline effort and aggression and intensity in, you're gonna get backed by a Luton crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all we want to see, and hopefully that the Bradford game was a wake-up call, because the intensity was there. There was more attacking intent. Yeah, not quite clicking is a good way to say it as well. But it will come. If you're winning games, the confidence will come, and that's probably another thing that you need to factor in. The confidence took a massive hit from relegation, and yeah, you've had to change the side really. There's a whole new side worth of players, if not all playing, and that takes time. But the pre-season was good. We acknowledged that, don't we? Didn't lose a game in that one. They look fitter. And we've had this at the beginning of seasons, and we've talked many times over the course of us doing this since 2017, this podcast, that Luton start particularly slow. But even if you think about the last time we were in League One, it wasn't a great start. And there was the Peterborough game where we went down 4-1 at London Road early on. But that season ended in a 27-game unbeaten run and going up as champions, walking through League One to the Championship very quickly. So these are all things that can happen. I think it's probably the spectre of the last 2 years that is hanging over people, and that's perfectly understandable. They want to see great football. We all want to see great football, but ultimately we want to see us not spending a long time in League One like the last time, and that can still be achieved. That is still going in the right direction.
Yeah, there's definitely an element that manager and players are a victim of circumstance at this football club. It's not all of these players and this manager's fault that we're in League One. But that's how it is, and they'll have to sort of manage that expectation of being on top in every game, and that is just how it is. And I still maintain, you look at the team, the squad on paper, it should win more games than it loses. And if it's prepared to match the opposition for work rate, it will win more games than it loses, because there isn't that many teams in this league with the quality that we can put out, both in the starting 11 and then the players that you see coming off the bench. Last night maybe the substitutions weren't sort of top level household names, but to Luton fans, Zach Nelson, we know what he can do. Obviously, we're starting to see more and more of what Lasse Nordos can do, and you look at the other people on the bench last night, Lamine Fanner, Cauley Woodrow. These are players that can influence games of football. So yeah, much better. Still improvement to come, but we've won 3 games out of 4, and like you say, when was the last time we won 3 games in August? It's a long time ago. So much better to be winning whilst we're trying to find our feet than losing while we're trying to find our feet. We've got ourselves a head start on a lot of the league. There aren't many teams that have got points ahead of us. A couple of the teams that are ahead of us on goal difference. Well, once we click into gear, we'll sort that out. I think it's only Stevenage that have got a 100% record. Obviously, Cardiff one of the teams above us, Bradford, that result doesn't look too bad. I was never worried about the result on Saturday. It was the manner of the result rather than losing a game of football to a team that wins an awful lot of home games. But yeah, you're right. That is, if you're talking markers in the sand, that's it. And now you can't go below that now. You got to use that and only go forward from there. And if we do, that level of performance, particularly the last half an hour, and if we can get into a formation where we get Ali out wide from the start, not in a defensive fashion, but in an attacking one, we're going to win an awful lot of games of football, particularly away from home. If he and Kadir start in attacking areas in a formation away from home, on the counter attack, we are going to do some serious damage, because they are possibly the two quickest players I've seen in a Luton shirt. Possibly. Ogbenny would obviously rival that, but the thing I would say about Ogbenny was
He didn't have an end product.
that's exactly it. I'd rather take a little bit less pace and something on the end of it. So I'm really excited by them two. I just really now want to see them two up front with another, and let's get ourselves going. Let's go and take the game to teams rather than try and sort of contain teams like we are doing in amongst trying to take the game to them.
Yeah, but ultimately it's results, and you've got to win games, and they're winning games. And there's a lot of modern football's full of talk of ceilings, isn't it? There's more ceilings in football than there are in a plasterer's workbook. But the ceiling's nowhere reached for Luton, is it? If we're talking about all this improvement of what we haven't seen and what we'd like to see, and that can come. But if you're grinding out wins, you've got a pretty mean defence, really. You can talk about the luck of not conceding to Wigan, yeah, but we didn't get much luck last season. We didn't get much luck for 2 seasons, really. So that all plays into it as well. That comes with successful teams. You're not going to blitz everyone all the time. You're going to have a bit of luck. So that's there. All the ingredients are there, aren't they? It's just quite putting them together in the right amounts at the moment. And there's more to come as well, because we're missing this wing back system is where they want to play, and we haven't seen Izzy Jones yet. He's going to be somewhere between 6 and 7 weeks before he's even back in training, because there's stress fracture. He's having a scan this week, so we'll find out what the results were of that. Hopefully it's more accelerated, but they'll probably have to manage him as well. Kadeo, when he gets fully up to speed, I think he could be an absolute, well, he's certainly a League One beater. He could be, much better than that as well. That's an incredible bit of business, and also with the option to buy. And I see no reason from what I've seen so far that you wouldn't want to pay that money as soon as you are able to. So that's good. Bramwell's got to get up to speed. Yates hasn't scored yet. Nordas is still finding his feet. There's all these things that Nicky Wells has missed 2 games, and he looked pretty decent, or his output was pretty decent anyway for two successive assists, even though one of them wasn't officially, but I'm giving it. So there's all these things in the mix that points to good things. I think we've just got to get used to this idea that they are trying things and trialing things at the moment, but at the same time, win's a win. Did anyone come away going, "Oh, bloody hell, we've won again"? No. Well, actually, there probably are some of you, and I don't get it. You've won a game of football, and that's what the aim of it is. Everything else is extra on top, which makes you feel more confident and maybe happier about the outcome, but the outcome is the outcome. We won a game of football.
We did, yep. 3rd in 4, and Town on the up, and been a while since we've been able to say that, that's for sure. Let's hope, let's hope this that improvement comes on Saturday afternoon. What do you make of Bramwell?
Well, he was getting forward quite well, and he looked like he would cross at the earliest opportunities. I think he probably got a little bit exposed by Wigan's chances a couple of times. So there's that to work on. There's so much work you have to do as a wing back. It's the most difficult position, arguably, in football, because you have to be super fit and able to run back, up and down constantly, and then come up with an end product as well, which is...
It's another reason not to play them, Jimbo. Play fullbacks.
I don't know. Are we getting into this debate again? Look, listen, there's an argument for it, and but I think you can see that if they have the options available that you can play it, maybe it's about having that secondary option when you don't, and stop trying to, as you saw at Bradford, round pegs, square holes. Don't do that. Play what you've got. The other argument, I think, is a longer term argument or a more strategic argument. Well, why didn't you recruit players for the system you actually want to play? I think that's fair. But I think you're looking at 2 windows to achieve that, probably, maybe even 3. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see how those pan out. But I think he offered glimpses of that can be a successful system when he's up to speed. Not having it.
No, I am, but I'd much rather see him behind Ali. That's just you're not going to. We keep on hearing that we want to get more people into the attacking areas of the pitch. Well, play some attacking players in the attacking areas of the pitch then.
Okay, that was not the question you asked me.
No, it wasn't. No.
So what did you make of Bramall in that position? That's my answer. But yes, if you're going to twist my arm, you won't have to twist it very far to say, would I like to see him being the defensive role and Ali being, and they did link up quite well, actually. There was some overlaps that were going on, trying to find each other. And that's useful as a partnership. We saw that plenty with, Jack Stacey in this division, back in the day. So that it shows you what the possibilities could be with that system. Might be. There's no question that was merely Ali's best performance so far this season, and probably because that plays to his strengths.
Yep, indeed. I quite like Bramall. I've not seen anything to suggest otherwise. Outfield player wise, though, Liam Walsh caught the eye, didn't he? I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because you can shrug him off the ball, not necessarily easily, but easier than some of the others. But when he's on it, he's just a delight to watch.
Oh, it's a beautiful footballer, the way he can just find some space and then make use of the ball, and the way he does that gets the play from one side of the pitch to the other in a very quick fashion. He was doing that all day long. I thought he was very effective. Maybe you could say bypassed a bit when Wigan were doing what they were doing in the first half and creating those chances, and that's fair on the ball. I've got no qualms with whatsoever. I think that he may be unlucky in the sense that they'll have to play horses for courses for particular teams in this division, but whenever he's on the ball and playing well, I think he's a delight to watch.
Yep. Just finish on a sort of humorous point. Which shot was worse, Clark's one in the early stages that landed in Wigan's dugout, or Saville's one that's last seen somewhere in, I don't know, Tottenham?
Saville's one for me, but he's got a goal, so who cares?
Absolutely, yeah. The crowd was screaming at him to shoot. Don't think they'll be doing that. I think we're going down the Marvellous Nakamba route, man. Not shooting no more on that evidence. Two very, very weird shots, but funny, particularly now that we've won the game. You're absolutely right. 1-0 to the Town. You told everyone, Jimbo, it'd be a popular scoreline. I mean, I'd have thought you might have picked it for the score prediction, but
I thought I'd picked it. All game, I was sat next to Mike from the Luton News saying, I've got this result. I backed 1-0, and then I went and checked the comment. It's clearly a typo. I've done 1-1. I've done it in the comments because I wasn't on the last podcast. So I think that you should give me some leeway because it's clearly a typo.
Afraid not, mate. Afraid not. I was 1-1 as well. So, bad luck. But there were 14 of you that got it right. And, here they are. Again, like the first time round, I'm going to need a whole podcast for this. Phil Oliver, 5118. Mark Hennigan, 3955. Tom Mollett, 300. Andy Watts, 285. Des Jude, Barry Braham, David Coop, Nick White, Dean Brown, Ian Eon, Mark Dada, 6176. Fleety, 1885. Phil Clark, LTFC, and Ed and Sam Oliver all got 1-0 Luton. And, listen to Jimbo's advice that he didn't take, actually. And well done to you all. You will get 3 points in our leaderboard. I have to confess, I'm not up to date with our leaderboard yet. This studio has taken up a wee bit too much of our time. But come the Cardiff review, we'll have that absolutely fully up to date, and you'll all know exactly where you are on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it doesn't matter for the first 10 games anyway, does it?
CFAX, isn't it? It's all about CFAX. Yep. Yeah, we will get that up to you. So Cardiff then, Jimbo, obviously Saturday afternoon, 12:30 kickoff. If you've not got a ticket to the game, you can watch this one on Sky Sports Plus. And, well, familiar foe really, aren't they? I can't remember, apart from the Premier League season, I can't remember the last time that we didn't play Cardiff. And used to be a team that we could never beat. Now they're a team that seemingly we can't stop beating.
Well, let's hope that's the case.
Touched wood, Jimbo.
Yeah, I know you did. I saw it, but yeah, they've started really well because they were shocking last season. I mean, so were we. Don't make no bones about that. But
shocking, but we done the double over them, which
well, yeah,
there weren't many of them that we that we did.
That is true. So yeah, fair play to them. They've gone down a route of young players. I think that was. It's clearly working for them. It is clearly working for them. So it's going to be the toughest test so far, I think. Albeit we expected Bradford would be a physical, tough test. We told people that in the build-up, and that wasn't heeded. But quality-wise, you would expect that they would have slightly more. But they're coming to our place. So everybody's got to be up for this, really. There was points, I guess, and again, it's hangovers from two seasons of bad results where it's a bit quiet against Wigan. But this will be a sort of marker in the sand as to where this Luton team is and what they can possibly achieve. I don't think it'll be the be-all and end-all of anything. It's far too early for any of that, but it's a useful marker against a team that have come down and will be expected to go back up.
Hangover from the last result, certainly the atmosphere. I said it in the preview. I know you weren't on the preview, but I said it was very much a night where players had to get fans going rather than the other way around. I know that we all want, everyone together and all this, that and the other, but it was just so poor on Saturday that the players needed to show that there was an immediate improvement. And to be fair, they did. And this time around, though, this is a big game. I mean, this is a game between two sides who should, again, touch wood, should be fighting out for promotion at the end of the season. This is the first game that we've played where that's been the case. Listen, Bradford might well be fighting out for promotion at the end of the season. Don't think we can say that about the other three. Not just saying that because Bradford beat us. I'm just saying that because, well, they went and beat Stockport on Tuesday night as well, didn't they? They love the Hatters, that lot, don't they? But this one, you look at the bookies' odds before the season started. Luton were favourites for the title. Cardiff were second favourites for the title prior to the Huddersfield spending, that is. And yeah, everyone knows why. Luton are Premier League 15 months ago. Cardiff are probably size-wise the biggest club in the league, certainly with their stadium and everything. Everything's there for a good game of football, and this one is one where if we can shine in this one, not just win this one, but shine in this one, that will give us an awful lot of confidence. There's a week off after this because we're not in the Cup, and we can really kind of get our ducks in a line and sort of attack a Burton team that, would be the other end of the scale to Cardiff, and it would just... It just please everyone for a week, wouldn't it? We'd go away from it. We'd have our Saturday afternoon, extra drinking time, etc., as you pointed out to me the last time, and bank holiday weekend as well. We can just all enjoy ourselves and be really happy. I mean, 12 points from 15, regardless of the performance on Saturday, would be incredible. But if you pop a performance on top against a good side who are going to come here and play football, then happy days.
Yeah, they played a bit of football, or tried to play a bit of football up at their place, and we
I don't know they did. That was the most dreadful first half I've ever seen in my life. That was the most dreadful. I mean, if the first half on Saturday is as bad as that, the second half better be bloody good, because that was dreadful.
The word there was they tried. So that was what they wanted to do, and it didn't come off. It was a terrible game of football.
Let's hope they try like that on
yes,
Saturday.
Absolutely. Let's hope they're the biggest triers in the world. But I'd expect them and the current guys of whatever they're doing now that they'll come and try and play some football. I think that can benefit, obviously, because Wimbledon sat back, made it difficult, and we found it difficult. But against two teams that were going to want to come and play, then hopefully there's more space for your allies of this game to come to the fore and find that space and and play well. So, yeah, but at the same time, I think it will be a very difficult, tough grind of a game. I think that's where we are at the moment, and that's okay as long as the results keep coming. Anything more that we've seen from Tuesday will be a bonus, but if you play like they did in the last 40 minutes of the Wigan game, there's still enough there for me to enjoy a game of football. But I think it will be a tough one.
It will, yeah. Obvious threat to keep an eye on here. I mean, he's very, very highly touted, isn't he, Yusuf Salic? Touted for championship sides. In fact, I think Rob Edwards has been linked with him at Middlesbrough. Come on, Rob, do the right thing. He's got 3 days. Get in there and get rid of him. Scores goals. He scored goals already this season. Aerial threat. A Mark McGuinness who he still looks a bit weight drained to me. That was the phrase I was looking for in the instant reaction on after the Bradford game, weight drained. But he looked a bit better on Tuesday night, as to maybe the action's building him up. A fully fit Mark McGuinness would dealt with him no problem at their place last season. Let's hope that that's the case. Obviously, we've got Christopher McCosso back. We'll come on to the Luton team in a minute. But he's a goal threat, Selechi. He was the favourite to be the top scorer in this league this season, and that's for a reason.
Yeah, he is. Got to deal with him, and I think that there is obviously a question as to how that defence lines up against him. And for me, with Mark McGuinness still sort of working his way back in, I think that probably means that he comes out for me, because the only thing that Chris McCoss has done wrong is lamp someone in the face. Everything else was pretty bloody good, wasn't it, from him? And in terms of pace and power and the physicality to deal with most of the defenders in this division, I think that he's got it. And I would have him come in for McGuinness for now. But it seems to be that McGuinness is a favourite of, well, both managers he played under in a Luton shirt, and he seems to play most of the time. But I think that you've got to help him, build him back up slowly, if that's going to be the case. If we're talking about that for, Kadeo, we're talking about that for Bramall, even Jerry Yates, for example, then that's got to be the same for him. And if there's any qualms or questions over, his full recovery from this virus that saw him lose weight and presumably muscle mass and stuff like that, then don't throw him in the firing line for the full thing. So Chris McCosso for me comes back in, and the defence stays as is other than that.
Come on to the rest of the team in a minute. Ruben Colwill, he scored the free kick on the opening day of the season against Peterborough. I've seen seen Cardiff twice this season. They were on telly against Port Vale as well. I'll come on to their weaknesses because there's a glaring one in a minute. Ruben Colwill, Welsh international and a pretty good footballer actually. For some reason, he's been on the bench when they play against us, or he was down there. I think he had a bit more of an impact up here. Lively, someone that probably Saville, it would probably be his job to keep an eye on, and that's fine because Saville knows the wood from the trees in a defensive sense.
All of those areas I feel quite comfortable in, if they perform to the level that they can. I feel quite comfortable that they can snuff out chances and keep it tight, because that, with Chris McCosso in, I'm talking, and that's what we saw in the 2 games that he was there. Yeah, it was difficult for Luton to create chances, but there was nothing coming in the other way. Keeley made 2 saves in 2 games. And that was, as a result of making it difficult for other teams. And I think that you get that from Saville. I think it's a game, again, for Liam Walsh over Baptiste, because if they do come and want to play football, then he'll have the space for that, hopefully. So the midfield, again, is largely the same for me in this game.
I don't like this kind of manager, Jimbo.
What's he done to you?
Dropped Ethan Horvath.
All right.
Put him back in, just for Saturday.
For old time's sake.
Old time's sake.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, bit of a shame, but there we go. Let's swing it back round to Luton. I mean, you've already said that you're dropping Mark McGuinness or resting Mark McGuinness, so it's his former club. He'll want to play this one.
Yeah, but there's no room for sentiment in it. I'm looking out for Mark McGuinness. Really, you want everybody to be fit and firing and get back to where it was.
There are people out there right now screaming, "We haven't got a game for a week after this."
Well, I don't care if he's just played. He's just played 2 90 minutes, isn't he?
3 90 minutes.
Yes, forgot about that. That's too much if you're not fully up to speed for it. You can say he's a warrior and he'll play through pain or play through not totally 100% match fitness, but we don't need to do that. There's no reason to do that. He can be on the bench and come on if needs be.
So Chris comes in. Who's the middle one of the three? Because let's be honest, we're going to play a back three. He's not changing formation after a midweek game where there's no time to work on the training ground. If and praise be that it does happen, if we go to a back four, it's not going to be before Burn.
No, it wouldn't be. And I suppose there is room for debate on the rest on the rest of the defence, even though I said it doesn't change because of that.
Well, we don't know the situation with Mads Andersen, do we?
He was removed for a precautionary reason for a hamstring, so we don't want that to blow up again because he's come in and been really impressive to start with, and we don't want him to be falling back into his injury prone ways. So I think that's wise. It's just whether he's available for selection on this one, and if he is, I'd bring him back in. I said the defence wouldn't change other than Chris Makosso, but I think that if he's fit, I'd bring Mads back in.
So that would be Naismith, Anderson, Makosso, back three.
Yep, that's for me.
Presumably Bramall left wing back.
Yep, just the formula was there while he's still getting his fitness back. Start him, bring him off after 60, 65. Keep adding a bit more on to build up his fitness, but I'd rather that you start with that than bring him on to try and rescue something. That just seems more sensible to me.
Yep. Kadir on the other side.
All day long. Same reason. Just play him. If he's getting cramp at 60 minutes, we'll bring him off. It's cramp, and that's to be expected as a young lad, and he hasn't played a lot of football. So what he did and what he has done so far is looked promising, and he's a useful outball. He's some pace. He can get around the sides of defenders, gets to the byline. Everything about him screams to me, play him until he's ready. Play him if he's not ready, and play him until he's ready.
If he needs an agent, I know someone who's tailor-made for the role. You've already said, haven't you, Saville and Walsh to go again in the centre of midfield. Shandon will have to sit this one out. I agree with that. I don't think they're particularly strong in the centre of the park, physicality-wise. They were last season because Callum Chambers played in midfield, didn't he? He's dropped back to defence. We actually need to keep tabs on him because that geezer was shooting from here, there and everywhere. He thundered the crossbar, didn't he, on our way to scoring the winner at their place.
Well, yeah, if he's lining up a shot from anywhere, somebody throw your body at it because, yeah, that second one that hit the woodwork was a peach as well. But yeah, he was played further forward. If he's going to utilise him back there, that's not to say he might not be useful from a set piece or so. He's quite a big lad, isn't he?
Glad you mentioned set pieces. I'm coming on to that in a minute. But how are you doing this front three then? Because you've obviously got Millie Ali, you've got Jordan Clark, you've got Jerry Yates. We've already said earlier in the podcast that we're not starting Lassie Nordos just yet, but you might have Nakeem Wells. Now, there's every chance Nakeem Wells will start on the bench and that will solve the problem. But if he doesn't, you've got 4, but you've only got 3 positions, and my mathematics ain't great, but that tells me they don't go.
No, I did ask about Wells, and there's a possibility he might be back, but possibility is not strong enough for me at the moment. I don't think he starts.
It's a moot point then, isn't it? So the front three is the front three as it was on Tuesday night. Interestingly, Ali started alongside Yates. If we're going to go with that 3, you might as well have Ali behind Yates because it just didn't work. And at least then he can drift into wider areas and go from there. So I've watched this lot against Peterborough. I've watched this lot against Port Vale. They are horrendous at defending set pieces, like horrendous. Port Vale got their head on literally every single one. They just had a lino who was a bit flag happy. A couple of times he put the flag up when they weren't offside, one of which went in, the other one hit the underside of the crossbar. Otherwise, Port Vale would have beaten them. We've seen ourselves, Peterborough weren't particularly great against set pieces the way that we scored it in that game, and Peterborough were dominating them from set pieces as well. We should have a heck of a lot of joy from set pieces. In fact, I think every single centre-back at this club is going to be queuing up outside Matt's door to be in that back three to have a go at this lot. They were really, and listen, that might just have been the first two games, but I think we fancy our chances from a set piece on Saturday.
Well, even more reason to get Mads Anderson in there, I think, as well. And the desire he showed to score that goal against Peterborough was evident, and he's useful in the air. I mean, he did it in the Premier League, and he's in the few games he did play. Even more reason to get him in. And we've got a pretty tall back line then, haven't we, with Makosso and Mads.
Yeah, I can see it when Saville's going to overhit a corner so that he can get into the box for the recycled cross and get his head on it. I've got a funny feeling Makosso scores on Saturday. He's got a point to prove, hasn't he? Matt didn't hang him out to dry, but he expressed how disappointed he was. I mean, listen, if you watch the video back, you've got to be kind of left him out, let him down for 3 games, hasn't he? There's a point to prove. We've aimed an awful lot of set pieces in those 2 games that he was in at him. He had that thunderous shot against Peterborough as well, didn't? I've got a funny feeling he scores in this game, Jimbo. In fact, if Anderson is playing, I think they might look to contain him from the set pieces and leave Makosso free without giving the game plan away.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Well, I asked about Makosso, and he's obviously available, but and jokingly, Bloomfield said he's out with his bad books, so
he walks into that team.
Oh yeah, absolutely walks in. He's been one of the revelations since he come in, and he's just in the same way that you could talk about Kadea being fearless in the way he plays. He's shown that Makosso has shown that he's also in that mould, but in a defensive back line where he looks like he can boss anyone he comes up against. He's got the pace to manage them. He can recover situations. Luton, clearly, we've only got a 4-game spell, league game spell to judge it on. Clearly, so much more compact and comfortable when he's in the team. Now, it's not a very big sample size to pick from, but it's all we got. So you look at that and say he gets back into the team. He does for me anyway.
Yeah, he does for me as well. Walks straight back in. Unfortunately for Nigel, like I say, it's a ruthless game, isn't it? And listen, there were plenty of other places. I mean, Kadua's probably not going to be able to do 90 minutes, so Nigel's got an in there, hasn't he, after 65, 70 or whatever it is. So yeah, that's how we see the team lining up. It's how we see the game going. When we do get a corner, get excited for this one, because I really do fancy that we'll get some joy. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll go in. How many times have we had headers from corners that have gone over the crossbar? But I do think we'll get some joy from corners. And actually,
the deliveries are decent as well now.
I was going to say, and actually from free kicks, because Saville put one in last night that was a beautiful area. We just couldn't quite get on the end of it, and that was also the case at Peterborough as well. In fact, I think it was one of Saville's free kicks that Chris had a bit of a dislike of the number 2 and decided to
give
him a chop round the noggin. So that's how we see it going. How are you looking for the team selection? Are you with Jimbo? Simply Makosso and Mads to come back into an otherwise unchanged side. Think I'm there as well. Obviously, hopefully down the line, that all changes with formations and things like that, but we don't see that happening here. All that's left is score predictions. I'm not taking 1-0, so if you want to take that off the board, I'll let you do it.
Yes, please. I'm going to heed my own advice this time and have a lovely, lovely 1-0. I don't know what came over me the last time, but I've actually mugged myself off. So, yeah, back to it.
We beat them 2-1 down there, didn't we? I know it was 1-0 here last season, but that was under Rob, and we were under all sorts of stresses and strains at that point. Repeat of down there. Wouldn't be overly surprised if they find the back of the net somewhere along the line, but I think we'll get at them, and I'm absolutely confident that we're going to score a set-piece goal on Saturday, so that'll be, and then one from open play, that'll be 2. Not 1-0 this time, Jimbo, mate.
Well, I'm sticking with the Luton. I'm going to grind it out, and I'll be happy with that. Do you know what? I'd be happy with that all bloody season. 1-0 in our way to promotion would be fantastic.
The one thing I would say on your side, these 12:30 games, they're enough low scoring, aren't they? Apart from that debacle at Middlesbrough and obviously at West Brom. Generally, you look down the scores after the early games. There ain't many goals in them in any of the divisions, are there? It's not a surprise, is it? No one's awake, let alone ready to play football.
There's not enough time to go down the pub before the game as well.
Just do that after the game this time around. Yeah, absolutely. So 1-0 for Jimbo, 2-1 for me. Get your score predictions in, as I say. We'll get the leaderboard updated for the Cardiff review, which will be a standalone review, and then we'll do a standalone preview for the Burton game, as we've got plenty more time next week, and we'll have our studio all built up and everything else in the meantime. Thanks for watching or listening, however it is that you've consumed this podcast. We really appreciate your support. Thanks also for the support that you give the instant reactions. There will be another one out on Saturday, shortly after the full-time whistle, once I've got round and somewhere where that sound system isn't blaring out and I can get my own voice down on my phone and get it to Jimbo and everything. Mid-afternoon sort of time on Saturday.
Yeah, as instant as it can be, really. You're recording it as soon as you get out of the ground most of the time, isn't it? And then you just got to get it out to you. But yeah, it's good that people are enjoying that. I think it's a nice little stopgap before we can do this full-length podcast. Well, I certainly enjoy it anyway.
That's good. And if you see me recording it or you see me leaving the ground and you want to be involved, just tap me on the shoulder. Absolutely fine. All good. Obviously, keep it clean. But apart from that, more than happy to have your opinions on there as we go throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have other people involved to hear that as well.
Getting bored of my view already? Eh?
No. It's just that, we're here for the people, man. We've got to let the people speak.
Give the people what they want. That's our motto. Absolutely, yeah. So if you'd like to be involved in that, I walk through the main stand after the game from the Kenilworth end. So usually record it sort of opposite the car park, the club car park at the top of Maple Road, just as you come out of the main stand there after the game. That'll be out on Saturday, full podcast. We're going to put the podcast out Tuesday morning, aren't we, the review episode, because Monday's a bank holiday. Lots of you have told us that you enjoy consuming the podcast on your commute to work. Therefore, we'll hold it back until Tuesday as we've got a clean week next week. So review out on Tuesday morning, instant review out Saturday afternoon. And as I say, preview for the Burton game will be out usual time later next week. Thanks also to the folks at Marsh House, the proud new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, and to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music. Until next time, which will be that review of what we hope will be a big win for Luton on Saturday afternoon from Jimbo and myself. Come on, you Hatters. 3 more points, please.